In the line that begins with the word ofan. The essence of a person's presence in the world and orientation is the Ratzon. The sechel, and the sechel is extremely effective and extremely powerful to the extent that we say Mechayev es hadover. Mechayev es hadover means it shows the essential reality, essential truth of it. It proves it. And they can't refute the chiyuv ha-sechel. The territory, the background of this, his chaybus, of this chiyuv, is in Ratzon. It's a phenomenal thing. We're saying a simple sechel, 1 and 1 is 2. Couldn't be simpler than that. What is the Ratzon element in this? And yet, there has to be a Ratzon element. Because if not for the Ratzon element, simply in our experience, before we go into the AyinBase, in our experience, if there was not a Ratzon, then 2 would be an anomaly. Now, but sechel, what do we touch? We touch 1 at a time. Then you say, no, it's not 1, it's 2. That is unnatural in our experience. Like we say, take it down to the animal level. Animal doesn't know 2. Animal knows only 1. The one that he is busy with, that's what he knows. So sechel says, if you have 1 plus 1, you have 2. But what makes it acceptable to sechel? How come sechel is mechayev the senior? The reason is because the basis, the background, and the inspiration of the sechel is Ratzon. Ratzon is on a totally different level. Ratzon actually relates to the terrain. Which means Ratzon identifies for the person a terrain, a broad reality. How does the Ratzon identify it, as we said yesterday? He wants to be in this big world. This is what we not that long ago, a little while ago, we pointed out that the secular statement that everything wants to secure its existence, survival is a totally false, non-existent concept.
Non-existent motivation.
Non-existent yet. Survival. Where? What? When? The next minute doesn't exist. They're saying, what are you concerned about? The next minute doesn't exist. So what are you concerned about the next minute? What's survival about? So we explained. That's what Chassidus being said, and a similar statement with a totally different perspective, a totally different meaning. Because he recognizes the mission that he has in the entire existence. He wants to be in this world. Without going any further in elaboration, I don't want to deviate. The point is, Ratzon gives the person the sense of the reality where he is. This is, like I said, and once he is in reality, so then everything that exists in that reality is real. Because it's there because of this reality. That's Ratzon. So therefore...
So we said, how does this Ratzon recognize or know this great reality? And then it was said because it wants the wide world or something.
It wants the wide world, like we spoke yesterday, because man was created to be in the wide world and to affect the wide world. As soon as Adam Rishon was created, he was given the task, L'Avdu L'Shomro, safeguard the Gan Eden, and develop it.
So this identification of the wide, the broad reality, sechel does not do that. This is a Ratzon.
Sechel is the derivative of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is broad reality, therefore there is two. Because this occupies only one spot, but there is a whole broad reality.
All right.
Sechel does not. Think about it. If the dry sechel, like the element level sechel, the sechel is that which I encounter. I encounter one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't encounter two.
Mm-hmm. Fine. So this how Ratzon does it is kind of a soul perspective that it's given. That's really what we're saying, right?
Yes.
To remain on this call, press 1.
You have a chance, I didn't know.
Returning to the conference room.
This is, we don't realize this is the human experience. Because of his Ratzon, because this is his orientation. No matter what he encounters, it falls right into place. Everything has a place. You go to the zoo and you see all kinds of creatures, like you said, you have to make a bracha, Mishana Habris. But still, you can study them and you can relate yourself. Everything that exists, you can relate to. Not because you relate to them through your sechel, because the Ratzon allows for everything to be. Because the Ratzon tells you taking a step further, but it doesn't tell you, don't be so shocked. This is God's creation. There is no limit to variety. I have to relate to you something that occurred yesterday. This is something which, okay, I'll tell you the story. I was sitting with a group of guys, and I asked them a simple question. I think I asked it over here. If you see the cup on the table, you know without a shadow of a doubt that it was put down on the table by a human being. Contrast this certainty to a situation where there is no cup on the table, and you see me putting the cup down. That also gives you a certainty that the cup was put down. So I asked, is there a difference between these two certainties? And if so, what is the difference? So around the table I had all kinds of responses. One gave me the following response. That when you see the cup being pulled down, this is like being superimposed on you. This is not something that you, the Pneumius, recognize and figured out. It's not real. It's imposed. You have to admit that it was put down because you saw it. The other way is something which you convince you have a logical imperative for this. That's real. You understand the implication over here? Upside down. This is the effect of the scientific approach. I don't want to elaborate it very clearly. I sat a whole hour spoke about this. All right, so we are on the line, I said, middle of the page, non-Zion.
I mean, maybe he said it in a very grub way, but the first way you have Re'iyah, it's out the near it, you see it, and the second way, is it's being it's logical, it's on my Metzias.
You agree with that?
With his words, yeah, I hear it. Well,
Okay.
why is it wrong?
No, he didn't say it in a grub way. He said it exactly as I said to you, and he said it as able as possible. This is, and I said, please understand, upside down. We are just now learning that primary to sechel is Ratzon. Without Ratzon, the sechel is stripped of its reality. Nothing real to it. No matter how forcing it is, how, so to speak, convincing it is, it has no basis. When you see You see, this is the thing I mentioned many times. I once opened a science book, a high school science book, an introduction. And the first thing is, don't trust your eyes. It's one in the introduction right there. Don't trust your eyes. I think it was physics. Don't trust your eyes. And they say, here's the proof. And they show two pictures on the optical illusion. You know what optical illusion is, right? Everyone knows what that is. That a certain shape makes you think that it's smaller than in a different shape. So that's it. Don't trust your eyes. Touch and measurement, that's real. The eyes is what make the world real to us. We have to understand. We begin after the beginning. We don't start from nothing. We begin after the beginning. If you don't have that presentation, you don't have a world. No matter how logically you follow your observation, your experience. You don't have a world. The eyes is what brings you this world, that world. You see it because it's there, like we see all the time. You see it because it's true. Not because it's forcing it. You have no proof for it. It's there. It's the reality. You see the reality itself. Where's the reality? God made it, period. There's a God in reality. This is what the Rambam says. The first beginning is the sechel has to recognize that there's a later sechel has to recognize that there's a motor issue. But before it comes to sechel, we recognize it beside the Ratzon. Then it comes into sechel. You know, we analyze, we understand, what is it, how come I see it? What does it mean? I know there's a motor issue.
When it says in the Rambam Leider, what does it mean? On the sechel level or on the Ratzon level?
No, Leider is on the sechel level. But this is avoid already. The Ratzon tells it as it is. And then it is incumbent on the person to recognize the Ratzon and to bring it to Das. Say, yes, that is the reality.
But we always explain that Muda Chochmas means that this Leider is even before sechel.
That's right.
So if this Leider is before sechel, then it's not through sechel.
This is the Ratzon translated in sechel. In other words, I see something and I accept what I see. This is later. This later before the sechel. I want to ask
one more question. We always said that Chochmah is like seeing, like sight, and you see the truth from the Nefesh. Now, where is Ratzon coming in here? If you see it directly from the Nefesh, why does it need Ratzon? And what does it do?
This is exactly what we're saying. If you didn't have Ratzon, then you would not accept what you were seeing. What am I saying? What is this? This interferes with my being. I don't want to see it. Why should I see it? In today's world, we are interested in what's doing on Mars, what's doing in faraway galaxies. A human being normally, he is not interested in that which is not real to him. This is not his world. Like we said, if I don't, it doesn't touch me. What's the expression? Don't trouble until trouble troubles you. Who cares? How am I involved in this? The Ratzon gets you involved in this. And this is when sechel comes in, and on that basis, sechel is based on the Ratzon. But yes, and because there's that reality, therefore this, because it's this reality, therefore 1 and 1 is 2. Because they're both in the same reality. If they were not in the same reality, there wouldn't be 2. Not even 2 ones, like we spoke yesterday. Sechel does not in itself create anything. The Yikir Ha, his Chassidus, as we're saying over here, is in the Ratzon.
So in both the cases where the person sees him putting the cup down and the person perceives that the cup was put down, Ratzon is the basis for both of these things, except that the seeing sees it directly, and the perception is now, well, your kochos are you're sort of using your own kochos to deduce the
but it's all based on Ratzon.
yes. But we're saying that the one is superior over the other because the chachma is a direct sight.
Let's think about this. We can take it just one step further. And it's this is really going into philosophy. Yes, you say it's logical that this cup did not put itself down there. Somebody put it down. What makes this logic function? What makes you ask how the cup is here? Is it sechel? No. It's Ratzon. Because Ratzon says everything has to be real, has to make sense. Because this is a real world. How come the cup is over here? Sechel says, somebody put it down. It's not a sechel question. I have to live in a world that makes sense, that's real. It can't just happen haphazardly, accidentally. It's not real. I can't survive in that kind of world. Ratzon is forcing the sechel to make sense out of it.
Isn't Koich HaMaskil intermediary for that?
Sorry?
Isn't that Mitzat Koich HaMaskil, this question? I mean, I understand Ratzon is the basis, but there's a hamshacha before I start coming up with answers.
Absolutely. The Koich HaMaskil is taking the essence of the Ratzon. The Ratzon doesn't make logical presentations. Koich HaMaskil take the essence of the sechel and begins to formulate a logical representation. Even the statement, Motzu Risha, Mamtzi Kol Nimtzi, is a logical presentation. Doesn't exist in Ratzon. Ratzon only knows the reality itself. Sechel sees 2 things: the motivation and kol nimtza, and therefore it puts it in that perspective, in that order. All right, again, in the middle of the page, and on Zion, the line begins with what ofan. Towards the end of that line. So we explained that first there is the Ratzon, the sechel is a Ratzon al zeh. If he wants to do anything, so let's speak something specific level, then there has to be a sechel Ratzon, there has to be a vivid Ratzon for this thing. And then it comes into sechel, and the sechel is mechayev as a dober. Absolutely, we have to do this. I want to make it. I have to make it. That's the chiyuv sechel.
What does the Ratzon say?
The Ratzon identifies the reality of it.
Is it an external arousal or internal arousal?
It's an internal arousal, but it's on a functional level.
It's due to internal, or even though it's internal, was it due to something external to it, or everything is internal?
It's all internal, but to understand it, I'll have to give a little elaboration. When you hit your hand on the table, you feel pain. This sensitivity to hitting and the pain, is this something that's being created at a time when you hit your hand? Or is it there all the time? The answer is, it's there all the time. It's active and sensitive all the time. Because of the active life force in the hand. Because of the Ratzon. Yes, I want to be sensitive. I want to know what's going on. That is constant. This arousal, this sensitivity directs the sechel and says, watch out, don't go walk into the wall, you're going to get hurt. We once learned, I think it's some ago, I think, what in that, I don't remember when. If you decide to move your hand, then the koyach hatnuah enter the hand and first become active, and you activate the hand and lift up the hand and make it move. Koyach hatnuah is in the hand, active all the time. Which is part of the chayes of the hand. In every part of our body, in the whole human being, there are two levels of chayes. They're not called chayes kloli and chayes proti. Chayes kloli is that everything is alive. They say the blood flow and all that. And then it's chayes proti in everything. Chayes proti is the koyach that's mislabish in that particular part of the body, that particular limb. That koyach is active all the time. It's on the ready to execute a command from the person immediately.
What's the significance of that statement? I remember.
It has to be whether this is internal or external. I said it's internal. It's an active Ratzon all the time. But for that, if we needed to walk, we would have to every time remind, okay, how do you walk? Oh, you use your feet. Okay, feet, are you ready? Use your
This is why you can relate to everything basically around you.
all the time.
How do you know that your feet exist unless you think about it, though?
That's right. Can you imagine? If this were the human being, this is what they construe the human being to be. It's amazing. They go through a baby and say, oh, the baby found his feet. How stupid can you be? All right, so we found our feet way back before we were born. We were told we have feet. The Nefesh told us we have feet. That's how we know it. All right, so that will be it for today. Have a great day.
And where it says V'ikar his chadshus hu berotzon, how do you translate his chadshus?
Okay. This is a good question, and I want to leave it for tomorrow so that we